Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm super excited to interview Avi Schiffmann. At 17 years old, Avi has created this website ncove2019.life and has been featured on top websites like GeekWire, New Yorker, and many more. Let's find out more about his story in this interview. Well, thank you so much for joining this
Yeah, for sure.
interview. And yeah, my name is Michelle, and I'm the founder of First Code Academy. And yeah, since 2013, we have been teaching kids how to code. And so when I read about your story, I really want to speak with you and get your firsthand sharing of your experience, both as an entrepreneur right now and also as a coder. I heard
Thank
that
you.
you're 7 years old, right?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, so while we get started, why don't we start with an introduction of yourself and then
sure,
we can, yeah, dig deeper into your story.
for sure. Yeah, my name is Avi Schiffmann, and I'm 17, and I'm a junior in high school around Seattle area, and I built one of the largest coronavirus tracking websites in the world. So,
Awesome. Tell me more about how you built this website. When did you build it? What inspired you building it?
sure. So I started this website, kind of late December, early January kind of times, and I noticed it was just really hard to find the information. If I wanted the most up-to-date numbers, I'd have to go to like Chinese government websites and read through Chinese stuff, and find maybe like a table and sift through government words, or I could read like news articles, but they were mostly out of date by the time I read them, anyways. So, and I thought I could just do a better job, really, and so I started working on a website that would just kind of pull the information from these sources and just make it you know easily accessible for anyone. I mean, you can just go on like a smartphone and just easily see the quick fact session is the first thing that shows up, where you see like the total confirmed cases, the total deceased, total recovered, all that kind of stuff is just like right there in front of you and easily accessible. So you don't have to like go through government kind of Chinese stuff or anything like that. Like if you want to keep track of your family like across the world that lives in all these countries and stuff, it's all in one place. You don't have to go through all these weird kind of government websites and stuff. So it's a nice looking dashboard, and it also has other information. I'm working on other things like a wiki page and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Totally. That's awesome. And tell me more about how many people it's reached so far. I heard that it's really exploding. Yeah, tell me more about the numbers side of things.
Yeah, so in total, it's been about, I think, like around 700 million visitors, and every single day was about like 30 million or so. So it's a lot of traffic. What's interesting about that too is only about half of it is from the United States. So it's a very international website. Like every single day, I get visitors from every single country on the entire planet. So I guess that's pretty cool. Just how international the website is. People use it all around the world. I think Germany accounts for like 8% of my traffic. It's a very global website, and I think that's pretty cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, when I was reading up on your news, it was only, well, not only, it was like
Yeah,
300 million visitors, and
yeah,
today it's already doubled.
been nuts.
So, um, tell me more about, I read that you were on a ski trip with your family when you were doing, when you started building this website.
Mhm.
What inspires you to, skip a day of skiing to build this website?
Yeah, sure. So I was at my cabin sometime around winter break, and I was just working on stuff. I was just programming things, and I was procrastinating from a bigger project. And I just noticed there's really hard to just find uh information about the coronavirus stuff. I just saw there was like a chat room about it and stuff. There were a couple people talking about it. It was pretty sparse to find the information. I never ever expected it to become a global pandemic. My generation has never had anything like that, or it hasn't been something that big since like World War II. I never expected that to happen, or my website to become so popular. It was just a small project I was working on. It was much simpler back then. There wasn't really anywhere to track besides just like China and stuff. So I was working on that, and then the virus continued to spread, and my website, I continued to add more features and stuff, and it just became more popular just because there were a lot of people using it. So it continued to spread and spread, and then I guess I'm at the point where I am now, where there's just so many people using the website, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and
Yeah,
definitely want to dig deeper into the process and how it's
sure.
evolving. And I want to segue a little bit into your journey of learning to code, and you've been programming for a decade now.
Yeah,
So
something like
yeah,
that.
tell me more about
Yeah.
how you started learning to code. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been programming for like a really, really long time. I guess I started about a decade or so ago. The first website I made was some kind of stick figure animation hub thing. It was pretty ridiculous. But, I worked on many things over the years. In middle school, I did a lot of video game programming. So, I did a lot of things with Unity, some stuff with Python and Pygame. And I just kind of made stuff and shared it around. I made like mobile apps. I've made computer programs and stuff. But by far my favorite is just making websites, just because it's so easy to share what you make. If I want to share like a mobile app, people have to download it and all that kind of stuff. With a website, anyone with any kind of device can just visit the website if they have an internet connection. So you know, I think it's just a great way to share stuff. So I really like making websites. I've just been learning for so long. I've just everything I know is just from watching like YouTube videos and just reading articles online and stuff. I didn't go to any special like boot camp or college class or anything. All this is just any question I have, I can search online, and there's 200 other people that have the exact same question. There's all kinds of chat rooms where you can ask like actual experienced developers all kinds of questions, and there's so many people willing to help. So I've just kind of been learning over the years, and I find it very easy to learn like a new programming language or something like that. I hadn't really done much uh, server side JavaScript, which is the main way the website works and stuff. But it's not that hard to learn a new programming language, because once you learn one, another one is pretty simple. And it's kind of like if you learn French, Italian is pretty simple after that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I totally agree with you that websites are just so accessible all over the
Hmm.
world, and anyone with that link can access it.
Yeah,
And what was
definitely.
your first programming language? And can you share a bit about like your first project that you created?
Yeah.
You mentioned
Uh-huh.
that I read that you have built over 30 websites. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'd love to hear more about
Sure.
these projects.
So I don't. I probably started. I think I started with Scratch. I think some kind of something like that. I might have done something simpler than Scratch when I started, but I remember I did Scratch for like a little bit. But I think I really started programming more with Python. I did a lot of Python stuff just because I found it really easy to learn. The way you can declare variables and stuff is just a lot more simple than Java or something like that. So I did a lot of stuff with Python, but mostly it was kind of just like text based like RPG kind of games and stuff like that. I didn't make anything much bigger. But then I guess eventually I continued to learn more. And I've made so many different websites. Like one thing I made recently was this thing for I wanted to learn how to do something called API calls. And so I found an API just by searching for a bit, by NASA for their Insight lander, the one that they landed about a year or two ago. And they have an API that you can use to can get like a continuous stream of data about the weather on that specific place of Mars. So I designed like a nice looking modern like weather kind of website app kind of thing. But instead of showing like normal weather, it showed you Mars weather and like the atmospheric pressure, and it was like Sol 407 and all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty cool. And I shared it with NASA, and they thought it was pretty cool. I've just been making so many random things like that throughout the years. And things have become people liked it and stuff, but nothing was ever like genuinely this useful and this popular and stuff. So I think it's really cool. I have no plans of stopping now. I have so many more ideas and things. And I mean, the second like the coronavirus website is finished, I'll work on something else. So yeah.
That's great. And I noticed that you're really drawn to like solving a problem or like getting certain information, and then you use technology, you use code to get those
Hmm.
information and make it accessible to more people, like
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Mars temperature
yeah,
and
I definitely think that what's really cool about one of the things that's cool about this website is that we're at the point where we can use technology so easily that some 17-year-old can code a website that's able to track this global health kind of pandemic and everything. Back when SARS happened, there wasn't a website you could go to. I mean, there wasn't even smartphones back then that you could use to see updated numbers. I mean, even Ebola, I don't remember a website I could go to and easily see the numbers tick up just every time I just refreshed it and stuff. So lots of interesting ways to use technology now that I think is really cool. It's just I think it's just really neat. Just the combination between technology and global health is really cool.
that's great. What was the one of the difficult things that you feel like when you started learning to code? Uh,
Hmm.
Yeah, and how to
Yeah,
build.
I think a lot of people try learning a lot of like programming stuff. They just they watch these like 14-hour long YouTube tutorials and stuff, and I don't think that's necessarily a good way to learn because I think a lot of people get bored, writing the same to do apps and stuff. I think a great way to learn and the way I've been learning is just to make projects and stuff. Like this coronavirus website was also a project I did to learn specific skills and stuff in terms of developing stuff. I mean, I had never like half the stuff on the website I had no idea how to do before I started. I mean, I taught myself like basic Linux stuff in just like a weekend, and basic security and just how to use things just like that, just by just learning things. And I think the best way to learn is just by doing projects and stuff instead of just mindlessly following tutorials. So if let's say you want to learn how to make a website and stuff, don't try and make Facebook when you start. Maybe try and make just a stick figure animation thing where you just make a website where you just upload random animations you thought were cool, something simple like that. And just kind of learning as you go along, like oh, how do I put text on the screen, how do I colorize it? You can search up these things instead of just following a 20-hour long course you found, and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's totally like what we're thinking about as
Mhm.
well and advocating with our students where, the best way to learn is really to like build a project that you really care
Mhm.
about and
Definitely.
you dig deeper into the problem and you add more features to your project. And that kind of leads me back to the coronavirus website where, right now it's really blown up and you've added so many additional features. What is coming up on your pipeline? What are you planning to take this, where are you
Sure.
planning to take this project
Yeah,
to?
so I'm working on many cool features at the same time. One thing that I'm working on right now is that's pretty cool. I haven't told anyone about this one yet, but there'll be like a survival rate kind of calculator thing. So you can enter in like your age and your gender and any pre-existing conditions you have, and it'll tell you based on past data, what your percentage is of survival if you were to get infected. So there's a lot of interesting information like that. I'm working on kind of like a vaccine tracker page. Just to kind of monitor the progress and stages of different antivirals and vaccines. And I also think that would be a cool idea. Would be to have like a page to feature more kind of youth leaders. I think related to like coronavirus and stuff, because I think there's a lot of cool young people like me that have also done really cool stuff, but not necessarily have like global media coverage like I do. So I think it would be really cool to feature them on my website. So I've been looking to find and kind of like curate like a list of just other cool young people that have done really cool stuff, because I want my website. I think what's really cool is I hope that what I created inspires a lot of other young people to just take the initiative and make something. My website's not exactly very hard to program. Any real web developer could have done it in a couple days as well. But I think what's more important is that I took the initiative to create this just so long ago when barely anyone would even cared about this. I don't think Trump was even briefed on it before, when I started my website or something like that. So, I hope that, a lot of other young people just, find that, oh, I can watch YouTube videos, or, I can sign up for, First Code Academy or something like that as well. And, teach themselves all kinds of cool programming things. And, they also, create something really big that helps the world too. So yeah, I hope that inspires a lot of people.
That's great. Yeah, I saw your tweet about
Yeah,
asking for
trying
people
to
to
find more things.
share
It's hard
their
to.
work, and one group of Afghanistan girls are doing ventilators as well
Yeah,
with
so there's so
recycled.
many cool things all around the world like that, all kinds of different countries and stuff like that. So many cool things, and they don't necessarily have the kind of coverage that I do. So I think it would be cool to share that kind of their stories and stuff as well. So I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Love to collaborate in any ways.
Sure.
Like we're doing a series of interviews as well on
Mhm.
youth makers and shakers.
Yeah.
So you're definitely one of the great examples.
Thank
Uh,
you. Yeah.
Walk me through. I want to dig a little deeper on the technical side of the project. Right? Can you
Sure.
walk me through the tech stack that you created, like the language,
Sure.
the libraries you used? Um, Definitely web scraping is one of them. So yeah, walk
Sure.
me through the
Yeah.
tech stack.
So the website uses JavaScript, but it's on the server side, so it's called Node.js, which is kind of like what PHP is, but with JavaScript instead. And then the rest of it is it's kind of HTML. It's something called EJS, which is kind of like a template thing. So I can have HTML, but then I can change. I can have a variable in my HTML code that changes based on the stuff from the server side JavaScript. So it's able to dynamically change the numbers and stuff. So that's why the numbers change on the website. I don't actually manually change that. It's all based on the variables from the server that goes into the front end version and changes that. And then there's of course like CSS to make it all styled. And then the web scraping, it's pretty simple. So let's say a Korean government website or something, they may have like a I don't know, like a table of numbers and stuff that they update every couple hours. And what I'm able to do is basically kind of like download the HTML of that page and then kind of parse out the kind of stuff that I need. So, get the individual rows of the table and add that to a much larger data set um, for all the other kind of places and stuff. So that, you're able to get like automatically updating stuff because I don't have to manually enter in any of the information. Every minute or so, the scripts run and just kind of download that newest data. And if there's no newest data, it doesn't update. But if there is, then it updates. And so that's the kind of technology I'm using. And other than that, I'm not using like really complicated stuff. It's pretty simple. I'm not using React or anything like that, which a lot of more professional web developers would probably use, just because I I know EJS very well, and I was actually in the middle of learning React when I designed this, but I knew EJS, and that's just what I did. So it's mainly basically HTML, Node.js, and CSS. That's basically it. It's very simple. Oh, I guess it's hosted using something called DigitalOcean, which is just my hosting provider. So I have a virtual private server, which is in Ubuntu, which I'm able to kind of do things. So I have like a GitHub kind of repo, and I'm able to basically like pull the latest changes from there and then deploy that to make it the live version. And so that does my hosting. However, I have something called Cloudflare to basically cache a lot of stuff and protect against DDoS attacks. Because a lot of people that have tried to attack, I think I've gotten like 23,000 kind of attacks or something. So a lot of people try and attack, but not one of them have been able to bring the website down, just because Cloudflare does a really great job of mitigating the load on the servers too. So I think my servers only get like 2% of the load that they would have actually gotten, if I wasn't using Cloudflare. So lots of really cool modern technologies like that. But yeah, it's
That's
relatively
fantastic.
simple. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that you use a lot of modern technologies like
Mhm.
Cloudflare, DigitalOcean, and
Mhm.
how many of these tools are, completely new for you when you're building this
Yeah.
website?
Yeah, they
Walk me
were
through things that
all
you
new.
learned through the way.
Sure. So, I had never I'd never typed any Linux things or done any terminal related stuff, but my entire server is literally just in a terminal, like on the command prompt, like in my computer. And I use something called SSH to kind of connect to it and then run commands from my own laptop. Like the server is somewhere in like New York or something. I don't really know where it is. Not really my problem though. But so all that kind of technologies, I just kind of learned as I went along. I mean, I had no idea how to set any of that up, but there's just so many great tutorials online that it's a very easy to find all kinds of information. But yeah, so like everything is just I had no idea what I was doing before, so yeah,
Yeah, that's
learned as
great.
I went along.
What was some of the biggest challenges when running, like while you're running this project? Like,
Mhm.
the server is definitely like blowing up, and there's a lot of new technology
Yeah.
stuff that you're learning about. What are some of the key challenges that you're facing right now?
Okay, sure. So some of the big challenges I've had while working on this website, web scraping in particular is really hard to maintain because a lot of places change format very often. So then you have to kind of recode the scraper, and that's a whole annoying thing to do. And just a lot of the pressure as well. There's so much international pressure on the website to be working 24/7. Every single day of the week. Because when I'm sleeping, it's daytime in like Africa or something, and there may be tons of people, you know, trying to visit my website from there. But let's say I'm sleeping and stuff, the website needs to continue to work, perfectly fine and continue updating, during that kind of time. So it's a lot of work to maintain it, but you know, I guess that's what happens when you're running such a big website like this. I hope that the next thing I create, isn't going to rely on things like web scraping, just because it's such a pain to kind of continue like reworking, just because there's so many kind of different scrapers and things like that it's a very hard to deal with. But yeah.
Yeah, and the websites are like, they might change their format, or,
Hmm.
their
Yeah.
links, and just like
They might
everything.
just, they might change the keys around. So, instead of, this key being deaths and that key being confirmed, they might switch it, and all of a sudden I'm reporting like a ton of people dying, but really those are just confirmed cases. So there's a lot of things like that, and I've been working to trying to put like fail safe things into that so that it doesn't instead change that kind of stuff. Like I remember when I was first working on this many months ago, there was one thing where one of the things like added a total kind of thing for the world as one of the keys, and it basically like looped over that and it doubled all the numbers for like a couple minutes, and that was like a terrible mistake. So there's just so many just big things like that that you just have to maintain. So it's a big struggle, but I guess it's worth it in the end to be able to genuinely help millions and millions of people every day. I think it's really cool. So I'm gonna continue working on this website, I guess, until the coronavirus, eventually ends. But yeah.
Yeah, you were saying about the fail safe measures.
So yeah, so I mean, as times have gone on, it's been easier to kind of, um, a lot of places have stuck to like their own format and stuff because they realize, it's very hard to get this information. But in the earlier days, it was a lot harder. But now I'm trying to make it so that that kind of stuff just doesn't happen. And just I'm going to continue maintaining the website, until I guess the coronavirus ends, or it just isn't a big deal anymore, or something like that. But it's a lot of work to continually maintain it, but I think it's worth it to just genuinely help millions and millions of people every day. It's a not many people get the experience to work on a website this popular. I mean, it's literally one of the most visited websites, just like in the world. There's only so many websites that get that many visitors every single day. So it's a lot of work to maintain it, but I think it's pretty cool. Just there's some kid behind it. One button press and I could delete the entire thing forever. It's a lot of thing I have, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool. So I want to move to, just like so you're still a student, and
Yeah.
I read somewhere, I don't know if it's accurate, that somewhere said that you're like maybe in math, like it's not your strongest
Oh,
subject.
I'm a very, very terrible student. I spend like the majority of my time, basically all of it, just doing this. Like I remember when this started to become popular, I think there was just so much stuff I was doing, like within the first media request. Like I went from like 35,000 like visitors a day to like millions and stuff, basically almost overnight. So, it was a lot of pain. I mean, it wasn't pain. It was just like so much work to just so many things that needed to work on the website, so much time. I just didn't really have time for school. So I think I skipped like a week or two, but then they closed it at the very end anyways. But yeah, I was in like ceramics class at one time, I remember, and when my teacher would like turn around, I'd be working on my website just because there was so much stuff to do. And I didn't have time to like spend like 2 hours in like a math kind of lecture when there were just so many more important things I could be doing. So I don't know, and to be honest, I'm actually in the process of just getting my GED, because I just have such bad grades. I just don't see the point of just kind of stretching it up like along for another like 1.5 years and stuff like that. I don't think school is for everyone, but I still want to go to college and stuff. So because I'm thinking once I get a bachelor's degree or something, nobody's ever going to care whether I have a diploma or a GED. I mean, they're basically the same thing anyways. So I think that's the kind of path that I've been personally taking. But yeah.
That's great. And I think that one of the things I want to, ask your opinion about is also that, when it comes to coding, a lot of people think that, okay, well, I need to be really good at math or science. What do you think about that? Is that a preconception that you
Yeah,
agree
I mean,
with?
so it depends what you do with computer programming. A lot of the more real world programming things, like the stuff I'm doing, I use absolutely no math or anything like that. I mean, maybe I'm doing basic kind of like additions and things, but nothing like actually complicated. There's nothing more than like basic math. Like there's no weird algebra or anything like that. It's all relatively pretty simple. I don't think that would be a struggle for anyone, even if they're terrible. I mean, I'm terrible at math. I literally felt like asleep in my lectures and stuff. Um, but there's no need to know all that kind of stuff. It depends what you do, though. If you're going to go into real computer science stuff and do a lot more kind of like machine learning kind of weird stuff like that, then there can be a lot more math involved. But for a lot more, like, you could make my entire website right now, never graduating like, I don't know, elementary school. There's really not that much complicated stuff to real world programming like this. It's really just understanding what you're doing, I guess. But I'll look at the code like right now. I don't see any math at all, just like anywhere. It's all just kind of logic kind of stuff. A lot of programming is solving puzzles and things. How can I get this to work? There's like 1,000 ways to do anything at all. I mean, you can add two numbers together in like a billion different ways. But so it's a lot of just logic and thinking about how to solve problems is the biggest part to programming. I wouldn't say you need school or anything like that to do it. I don't think you don't need to know like differential calculus to add two numbers together. So yeah.
Yeah. That's great. And yeah, absolutely agree with you that, when it comes to programming, it's a lot about like
Mhm.
piecing together puzzle pieces and knowing where to find answers and being
Yeah,
really good at like searching for answers
definitely.
online.
Yeah.
And so, do you have any tips for, kids or teenagers that are thinking of starting to learn to code? How would you, what are some advice or tips you want to share?
Sure. I mean, I just think that, if you're going to start learning programming and stuff, you don't need to jump directly into, complicated C++ kind of stuff. I mean, web development in particular, I think is a really great way to start programming just because you can literally open up a text editor, like put a .html at the end and just type whatever and then just open up that file and then bam, you have like a website. It's very simple with web development in my opinion to just get things to work. There's not many complicated things and you can easily share it and stuff. So I recommend that if someone wants to learn programming, that they start off with very simple kind of things. Like, I'm not if I was, about to start a thing, I'm not gonna. I mean, you have to set your expectations. I mean, it would take me like quite a decent amount of time to create something like Facebook. So, don't go out and try and make your own social network like right when you start. Think of something very simple, just like I don't know, maybe like a matching game, just on like a website about I don't know Pokemon cards or something. I don't like anything, something simple like that. It's very easily achievable. You can easily figure out how to do that, and then once you're able to do that, you learn more and more things, and just all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think a lot of people try and start learning programming. They start trying to do really advanced stuff, just right when they start off, and they might get really just this is so hard and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of it is pretty easy. I mean, HTML is not even there's no logic in HTML. I mean, it's just like how do I add a header? I literally just make the style of that bold. It's very easy. You just put H1, and then you have like the header kind of thing. You want a paragraph kind of stuff. It's literally just like P. It's very simple, all that kind of stuff. So, I think a lot of web development is very simple, and I recommend that a lot of people start with that instead of trying to learn like app development or anything like that, because that kind of stuff can get really complicated really fast. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's something that, like web development, you can see it right away, load it up on your
Yeah,
browser,
definitely.
and
Like if I'm working on like the Python stuff I did that for many years. And I did some stuff with like Pygame and stuff, but it's very hard to kind of like start 3D rendering things or all that kind of stuff. A lot of that kind of things is very, console and text based. But meanwhile, with a website, I could throw 100 images of dolphins on my website just like that. It's very easy to just kind of put something there and like, being able to actually see it and just so easy to share it too. You don't hosting stuff, the majority of hosting things are free. Even my website that had gains all these millions and millions of visitors, I barely get. I think I've spent like probably $0 in total on hosting. Even though I've gotten so many visitors, just because I mean, I started off with a $100 free credit for like the DigitalOcean thing, just because I clicked on someone's referral link, um, and that just lasted for a really long time. And just the servers are just so cheap and efficient. You really don't need to spend tons of money to host something. A lot of them is cheap. Like if I were to make something very small that I don't expect to get all these kind of visitors, I could just host that for free and share it around the entire world, and anyone can visit that with any kind of device. There's nothing to download or anything like that. So yeah.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think, like that's pretty much my questions. Do you have anything else you want to share or
I just hope that, what I created inspires a lot of other people. If there are a lot of other young people watching this and stuff like that, just I would just say, think of something simple and go for it. You don't have to make, a giant website like this that helps millions of people every single day. I mean, that's a lot more like advanced things that go into that. But you can start very small and very simple, and, work your way up. I mean, I started, making stick figure websites, when I was a little kid. It's if I can do it as a second grader and make completely like nonsense websites, I think that a lot of people would be able to pick it up pretty easily. I mean, I don't think programming is for everyone. I see a lot of things, saying everyone should learn how to program. I mean, I don't think everyone should. I think it's a kind of skill and it's a trade, and it is a very if you want to do it as a career or something like that, you can make a lot of money programming off something that you don't necessarily need a college degree to get a job at Google or something like that. I mean, I have job offers at real tech companies and stuff that are literally offering to pay me like real salaries and stuff like that. And they don't care that whether I have a degree or anything like that. They just see like, oh look, he can actually do web development. Just hire him. It doesn't really matter. You don't. I think with a lot of more advanced things and stuff like that, you want to be a doctor. You can't just say, oh, I know how to play like Dollhouse. Hire me. But with programming and stuff, it's so easy to just you can just learn it by yourself. You can do all kinds of there's great like I guess like free code academy and stuff like that, online and all that kind of stuff. There's just so much stuff to learn. You don't need to do all kinds of crazy stuff. You don't need to go to college to learn how to program.
Yeah.
Like
And
that.
it's such a powerful leveling playing field where, anyone anywhere in the world can contribute to
Mhm.
this, creation.
Yeah.
And yeah, like what's next for you, and how do we find you on
Sure.
the internet?
So I mean, like, I have so many more ideas and things to work. I mean, once this is over, I have hundreds and hundreds of other just things to do. I mean, I want to take just like a break, just because I've been nonstop working on this for like months in a row. But I think a lot of people have just said like, oh, look, he's like the next Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs or something like that. But I don't really. I think that's kind of silly, just because the next Mark Zuckerberg won't create a social network. The next Larry Page won't make a search engine. I want to make my own thing, and I want to be like the next Avi Schiffmann, and make my own really cool stuff. And just I want to make really cool stuff. Like I want to be like a an entrepreneur and stuff, but not in the sense that I want to make a bunch of Olive Garden branches and sell that for a couple hundred million, and that's it. I want to make really cool stuff. I don't really care that much about making so much money. One of my favorite just like things of technology and stuff is I really like the idea of Napster. I never used it, but they were a terrible company. They were sued by everyone who ever made music, but they changed music forever. Music has never been the same since all that kind of stuff that Napster did. So I really like that kind of stuff, and I'd really like to continue doing all that kind of stuff. And this website has become really popular, and I have a lot more opportunities and connections and stuff now that are really valuable. So that way that when I do actually start working on bigger and bigger things, I'm just a lot of these projects I've done in the past are to gain the skills and knowledge I need. That way, when I do think of something, really, really cool, I know how to make it. I don't have to pay a bunch of people to program it for me. I can just do it myself. You know, so I guess that's what I'm going to continue working on. I don't really have like a set plan for the next 5 years. I'll apply to college. Maybe they'll accept me. Maybe they won't. But if they don't, I'm not going to be heartbroken or anything like that. I'll just not go to college, and I'll just do something else. But the main reason why I would want to go is to just find interesting people, and make really cool connections, and maybe start like a company or something. And to be honest, if I went to college, I'd probably drop out. After making some like other kind of company or something like that. But I'd really like to continue just working on stuff like that. And I guess that's what I want to do.
Yeah, super exciting. And with this website and creating this, like, I'm sure it opens up so many other
Yeah,
opportunities and
definitely.
possibilities and inspiration for you, and
Mhm.
connections as well. So
Yeah.
we're so excited. I'm so excited to follow along with your journey. And I believe you're quite active on Twitter, so we can follow you there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've been updating people on my website that way, because I get so many emails every single day. I think in one day I got like I think that one single day I got 80,000 messages across all social media things. It was
Wow.
insane. There's so many people are just so like active on trying to contact me. Some people will even like contact my mom's work to like get to me, just to tell me, oh, Ethiopia's numbers are off by a couple, and I'm just like, okay, thank you. It's a lot of stuff, but yeah, I appreciate the time and everything like that. This was really fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. And
Sure.
I'll share with you the link as soon as this is up. And yeah, all the best, Avi.
For sure. If you have any more clarifying questions, you can just text me or whatever. But yeah, cool. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Cheers. Bye. Wow, this is so amazing to learn about Avi's journey. At 17 years old, he has already been programming for 10 years. I love that he's encouraging more young people to make an impact in this crazy time of COVID-19. When we're all stuck at home, we can even find time to learn something new or create something that is useful for people around the world. Thank you so much for watching this video. We'll have more interviews with young creators. See you.